Hey, what's up? So I'm kind of back and I am joined today by my roommate's dog, Mila, in the back, as you can see. So I wanted to make this quick video about limits and feeling like as a creative and as a version of an activist, basically just like learning my limits. I came across this tweet a couple of months back and it really affected me. It talked about how if as a kid you were given more responsibility than you were ready for, a lot of times what will happen is you will struggle with learning your own limits, learning about control and what you can control and what you can't, what's outside of your control, learning to take on other people's stuff, other people's either mental health challenges or other people's emotions even, and putting that onto you. And that tweet just like really, really hit home for me. It's something that's kind of been on replay since I read it, because if I go throughout my life since like I was a kid, I can see exactly the ways where I was trying to either control other people or take on other people's stuff and other people's emotions and things. And even now today, even as a person who is a visible out bisexual man who has had a hashtag that has like blown up, even now I'm just like, wow, like I feel like I constantly am overextending. And even last year when I was doing well on YouTube and putting out 2 videos a week and stuff like that, that was great for my channel and great for consistency, but that was not so great on my mental health and that was not so great on me. And it's really, for me now, it's about learning my limits and learning what is healthy for me. So nowadays, what I ask myself as an activist, as a healer and mental health advocate, I ask myself, what is like my end goal? What do I want to accomplish from this? What is something that's important for me to get across? As a man, I have so many privileges that I'm not even aware of. And, I do want to help dismantle patriarchy and use any sort of attention that I get to leverage the voices of women, Black women specifically. But I still have to learn my limits. I can't do that every moment of every day, and I have to learn like, okay, maybe do one thing a day or one big project a year, because I get very obsessive very easily and I'm like, oh, I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing enough. And I know that that is something that is very relatable to a lot of creatives, but also a lot of people who are healers, a lot of people who are mental health advocates, because you're faced with this enormous problem that is ongoing and there are constantly new problems and new challenges, and it's like, okay, I want to like help, I want to be useful, I want to do this, but sometimes it's too much. And I need to learn my limits, and I can't do it all, and I can't end patriarchy by myself, I don't think. And that's okay. And I can't be responsible for other people's emotional baggage and emotional traumas, and I can only work on myself and I can only be better for myself. And that is a hard lesson for me to accept. But me resisting that lesson has only made me more anxious. And it's really about like sustainability, like feeling like you always have to be on, you always have to do this, you always have to be the voice, you always have to stand up. That's not sustainable. Also, being on that, in that wheel, right, has led me to do things that looking back I'm like, damn, why did I do that? I have a lot of regrets which I have expressed on this channel and in my writing, as far as like being out and being visible as a bisexual man. Prior to the bisexual men speak hashtag like gaining traction, I mean, yeah, I was out as a bi man online, and like if somebody googled me and like went to like page like 6 or 5 of Google, they would see things about me being bisexual because my writing has appeared in a bisexual fiction anthology. But now when you Google me, it's like right on the first page. And so it's this weird thing of like, yes, I'm out, and yes, I decide who I want to tell, but now it kind of feels like this other place of like, oh, like I don't really have that option anymore. Before I would just be categorized as a gay man, and I kind of became okay with that. If I was getting close to somebody, I would probably tell them like, oh, hey, actually I'm bi. But now I don't have that option. So even though in the past couple of years I've really only really dated men and taken men seriously, generally speaking, even though there have been a couple of exceptions, I didn't need to have that bisexuality conversation, or it didn't really come up unless it was something that I wanted to divulge, versus now in the age of, you know, social media and all of that, you know, you Google people just to make sure they're not serial killers, I guess. So now I do not have that luxury, and I find that that question comes up pretty soon nowadays, and it's not something that I really always want to talk about. I talk about it a lot on this channel, I talk about it a lot in my writing, and it's my lived experience, you know, being a bisexual person, being a bisexual man. So it's not something that I always want to talk about in my day-to-day life. Yeah, I don't want to explain things. I do that on this channel. I do that in my writing. I do that on Twitter. So in my day-to-day life, I usually am just trying to like have fun and laugh, and I'm very adventurous, and like I spoke about before, in a lot of my life, I can be a bit of a workaholic. So when I'm not working, I want to do the exact opposite. I want to play. I want to laugh. I want to have fun. Sometimes I enjoy getting into, like, you know, debates or conversations about, you know, bless you, about activism, or about, you know, this is ethical, this is not ethical. But generally speaking, when I'm not working, I want to play. I want to be silly. I want to have fun. I don't want to talk about me being bisexual. I don't want to talk about oppression and the challenges that I face, generally speaking. And so I feel regret, because I feel like that is not always an option for me anymore. This is just like a important moment for me to acknowledge the ways that I'm feeling, and also for me to pay attention to my limits. And that's really what this is about. It's about learning to limit myself, learning my limit. But yeah, I don't know. What has really helped me is seeking out community and feeling like I'm not alone, like seeking out Black bisexual people in my day-to-day life who I can just talk with and just let my hair down around, and that helps me feel not as alone. And in addition to like seeking out community and stuff, you know, that's part of organizing, really. That's part of any of this. And when you're in a community, you don't feel like you're all alone. You're the only one doing something, or you're the only one responsible for something, because you have a community of people, and like you see that, oh, all of these people from where they're situated, they're doing some work, they're doing their own work. But yeah, it's still hard. It's still hard struggling with learning my limits and stuff. And so I just kind of wanted to talk about this with y'all and see if y'all have similar experiences. So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that I need to lean even more into community, and that could be like a huge source of relief. But I want to hear from y'all. I want to hear whether learning your limits has been difficult, or whether it's easier. And if it is easier for you, please share some tips, because I need it. Okay, later y'all.